All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the channel. Please like and subscribe. Uh, this is CDL Ocala, Comejo Dedicated Logistics, the Ocala location. We're going to go over our full pre-trip inspection with our fill-in-the-blank study guide. First and foremost, remember you have 90 minutes to go over the pre-trip inspection. So there's no need to be in a rush. You want to always check and then verify that you got everything on your checklist, because you're going to get a checklist that has every item that you're going to inspect minus the verbiage for that item. We're going to go over the verbiage on this video, right? So you don't have to rush. Use the list and good luck. First of all, pre-trip inspection begins with the in cap. So when you're getting in and out of the vehicle, what is it that we're doing or we have to learn to do? You want to be able to use your 3 points of contact getting in and out of the vehicle. You got to get used to using 3 points of contact. That's going to keep you safe in the long run. So when we step into the vehicle, we sit down in our seat. What are we going to do next? We're going to put on our seatbelt, right? Put on our seatbelt when we're in our car, and we're going to put on our seatbelt all the time when we're in the truck. During a safe start and the manual, what is it that we check? You want to make sure the truck is in neutral. So you're going to move the stick side to side before you turn the truck on. Next thing we're going to do, there's two things that you're going to do in this slide, right? Let's go to the next one. You're going to push in the clutch. And you're going to make sure the brakes are applied, which the brakes are popped out. So red is the trailer, yellow is the tractor. Then we blank check that blank and blank lights came on and off. We're going to start blank and let the air pressure build up. So you're going to say start the truck. Truck is in neutral. The clutch is pushed in. The brakes are applied. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to turn the key. When you turn that key and the truck cycles, your ABS light and your DEF indicators are going to come on and off within the first 3 to 5 seconds. You turn the key, you can tell the examiner beforehand, hey, when I turn the key and the truck cycles, I'm checking for my ABS light and my DEF light to come on and off. ABS, truck and trailer. You turn the key, the lights come on, you tell the examiner they're working properly. Now the lights came on and off and the DEF indicators came on and off. You're going to go ahead and start the truck to build up air pressure. Now we're building up air pressure because we're going to check when the governor is going to cut off. The governor should cut off between 120 and 140 psi. Right now we're looking at our gauges. P for primary, which is a tractor. S for secondary, which is a trailer. The truck's building air. The governor kicks in. You look at the air gauges. If they're within range, they're working properly, right? Once the governor kicks in, you know that you're at full governor pressure. What's the next thing we're going to check? All right, once the governor kicks in, we're going to put the truck in gear or neutral. You're going to press and hold down your foot brake. Turn the truck off, put the key in accessory, push in both valves, right? Wait for the air to stabilize. After the initial loss of air, you should not lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute. Pushing the buttons, the air stabilizes after it's like 5 seconds. Air stabilizes, then you start your count. Okay, my count starts now. Start your timer. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Tell the examiner. I did not lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute. I did not see the needles move. I did not hear no air leaks outside. Therefore, I have no leaks. All right, the next thing we're doing is our air warning device. Without restarting the engine, you're going to fan your brakes until the alarm comes on at 55 psi and above. All right, you fan the brakes. The alarm comes on. If it's within range, all you have to say is proper range, working properly. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to check our emergency brakes / spring brakes. So you're going, I will continue to fan my brakes between 20 to 45 psi. Both my valves should pop out. You fan the brakes, the valves pop out. Look down at your air gauges. If they're within the 20 to 45 psi, all you have to tell the examiner is my spring brakes popped out, proper range, working properly. Now that we did that, that's the hardest part of the test. Now, those last 3 items is the one thing that will have you failing the test. So now we're going to do our parking and trailer brake check. So you're going to re-safe start the vehicle and build up air pressure to at least 90 psi. During the buildup, you can go ahead and take this time to do your in-cab check items. Now, once the air pressure is above 90 psi, truck's building air, it's above 90 psi, you're going to go ahead and start your brakes check. The next thing, what are we checking for? We're going to check our tractor brake. So we're going to release the trailer brakes. We're going to push in the red button, and you're going to leave the yellow button popped out because that's the brake is applied. Put the truck in first. Lift up off the clutch softly, and when the transmission engages, the tractor did not move. The tractor brakes are working properly. Now we're going to check on the trailer brake. So you're going to apply the trailer brake. You're going to pull out the red button, and you're going to release the tractor brakes. You're going to push in the yellow button. Put the truck in first gear. Lift your foot off the clutch slowly until it engages. The trailer did not move. The trailer brakes are working properly. Also, I have no plate in my fifth wheel connection. Now we're going to check our service brakes. We're going to make sure that both valves are pushed in. Yellow tractor, red is a trailer. You're going to put the truck in gear. You must drive forward and reach 5 miles an hour. You're going to apply your service brakes, coming to a smooth stop. You're going to be kind of holding the steering wheel. You're going to cup the steering wheel in your hand. You pull forward, you stop. Steering wheel then I move left to right. That means that truck's not out of alignment. The truck stopped. My brakes are working properly. Right? Next thing we're doing, I keep saying that freaking right. I'm trying to stop doing it. The next thing is our lighting indicators. Very easy. We're going off the list, right? Now we're working off the list. Next thing that comes on the list is your lights. Low beam, high beam, left turn signals, right turn signals, and your four-way flashers. Right here where you do your turn signals and your low beam, high beams, which is a high beam is you pull it towards you or push it towards the dash, depending on the manufacturer. And the button is where you push for your wipers and washers. You check your lights, they turn on and off, they're working properly. The next thing we check on the list is your 6 spare fuses. They should be in the in cab somewhere. Your 3 reflective triangles and your fire extinguisher, fully charged and secured. Next thing on the list is your windshield and your traffic monitoring devices. Both securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, clean and clear, right? The windshield's clean and clear. There's no obstructions on the windshield. And your mirrors are adjusted to you, the driver, right? No obstructions, no fogged glass. This next slide is how the mirrors would look like. Same thing for the mirrors. We just, we put them together because they're on the list together. As long as you say both. Next thing on the list is your wipers and washers. They're securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. They work and they squirt. You use a little lever on the steering column that I talked about when we were doing the light indicators. Next thing we check on the list is your heater and your defrost. You can turn on the heater, turn it all the way up, the heat. You don't have to sit there and wait for the truck to heat up, because if you just started the truck, it's not going to be, it takes a while for the engine, the fluids to warm up. So you're going to put it on this little setting right here where it's the defrost and the heater at the same. Wave your hand above, wave your hand below. You're going to say they're working properly. Next thing we check, according to the list, is your city horn and your air horn, right? City horn / country horn. Air horn is like a chain or a push, like a strap, and then there's like a traditional steering wheel is the city horn. Some trucks have the air horn here if they don't have it on a pull chain. Okay, quick recap on all the in-cab check items and locations. So, we check our lights according to the list, all our lighting indicators, safety equipment, our windshield, and our mirrors and brackets. You got the wipers and washers. You got your heater and defrost, your city horn, and your air horn. This is a little breakdown on how, when you're sitting in the seat, here's the shifter. Uh, I sometimes, when I'm doing the list, I go from the inside out. These are the locations according to the numbers on the list. All right, so let's keep going. This is what you kind of look on the dash. Typical dash. Uh, you got the headlights here, ABS and DEF usually are in a little cluster up on top. The brake light slash emergency light. Your brake lights, when they're activated, when the brakes are applied, this little button, you'll see the two lights. It's usually going to be two lights because it's truck and trailer. Then you got your high beam. Then you got your gauges, right? Your primary is the tractor. Secondary is the trailer, right? Yellow button, red button. Just keep going. Now that you are ready to check the exterior lights and outside, you take a moment to make sure you did not miss anything on the inside. Because once the examiner exits the cab, you you can't restart the brake test. While he's in the cab and you might have forgotten something that has to do with the brake, the 1 minute, the 55 psi and the 20 to 45 psi, if at any moment you forgot that, you can restart it, but you have to start from when you build up the governor, to have the governor kick in. Okay, once you get ready to go on the outside of the vehicle, you're going to tell the examiner to do the light operations check. Right, when he does that, there's a whole video on that, and then the QR code was in the last slide. You watch the video. There's like 19 things he's going to check on the outside. The likelihood that he's going to do it, that's at the examiner's discretion. All right, so let's let's go ahead and continue. So in the front of the truck, right? What are we looking? You're gonna get out of the truck. You're gonna do your 3 points of contact. You're gonna walk to the front of the truck. And what are we checking for on the front of the truck? Right? We're checking all these items here, and we're also checking underneath the tractor. Right? We're checking all our lenses, right? Lenses, headlamp assembly, clearance lights. But all I'm gonna say is all my lenses, right? And underneath my truck, there's no puddles of fluid, no puddles of fluids. There's no hanging wires, and the truck, front to back, side to side, it's sitting level. Right. So on this slide, uh, what are we checking for when it comes to all my lenses? All my lenses are securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, proper color, not missing, clean and clear. Next item on the list is your fluid levels. There are 3 parts to the fluid levels. On this slide, we have the following. We have the first 2 parts of the fluid levels. We got the coolant reservoir and we got the power steering reservoir. What are we checking for when it comes to the coolant and the power steering reservoir? Those are your fluid levels, right? They're both are securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. Your caps are tight. The hoses coming from or to my hoses are not leaking, and they're both at the proper level because I can see because the lines are between add and full. So the third part of the fluid levels, you need to be checking daily. You don't want to be risking not checking. It's literally the lifeblood of the truck. On this slide, we have the following. We have the dipstick. What are we checking for when it comes to the dipstick? Remember, that's part of the fluid levels too. The fluid levels is 3 parts, 1 point. My oil dipstick, it's securely mounted. I will pull it out. I would wipe it clean. I would put it back in again. I would pull it out and check for proper level between add and full. Next item on the list is is fluid and air leaks. There are 2 parts to the fluid and air leaks. On this slide, we have the following. We have the engine and transmission, right? Your engine and your transmission. What are we checking for when it comes to the engine and transmission? We're looking at things that hold fluid and things that hold air, right? There's things that are have clamps, they hold fluid, and some of these things have fittings and they hold air. My hoses of air and fluids, right? We are looking for visual leaks and listening for audible leaks coming from the engine and transmission. What are we checking for when it comes to the engine and transmission? Fluid and air leaks. My engine and transmission are securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. I don't see leaks of fluids. I don't hear any air leaks. Next item on the list is your steering system. There are 2 parts to the steering system. On this slide, we have the following. Right, we have the gearbox. What are we checking for when it comes to the gearbox? Keep in mind that the gearbox, it does have liquid going through it, and there is a line. You know, one line goes to the reservoir, the other line goes to the power steering pump. They all feed into one another through the reservoir. My steering system, remember, it's part one of a 2-part system. My steering gearbox, securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. There's no leaks. My hoses from my gearbox to my reservoir, they're securely mounted. No cuts, no tears, no leaks. This next item on the list is part of the is the second item of your steering system. It's connected, right? It's connected at the gearbox. On this slide, we have the following. It's your 5-piece steering linkage, right? It's 5 pieces from the gearbox to the wheel. What are we checking for when it comes to the steering linkage? Steering linkage, my steering gear linkage. Arms and rods, they're securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. The joints are not loose or worn. The castle nuts and pins in place, and there's no missing hardware. Next item on the list is part of the steer axle. This is one of the main parts of the steer axle. On this slide, we have the following. Right, we have our tire. Yeah, what are we checking for when it comes to the tire? We're making sure that our tire, inside, outside, and the top of the tire, they're securely mounted to the rim. There's no cuts, no tears, no leaks. There's no exposed wires. My tread depth should be 430 seconds or more. I'm going to check that with a tire tread depth gauge. Also, my tire has the proper inflation. I'm going to check that with an air pressure gauge. Next thing, the next item on the list is where your tire is mounted to. There are two things that we are checking. On this slide, we have the following. We have the rim. What are we checking for when it comes to the rim? Now, the rim has two things to it. This next item we check for on the rim is the securement. We want to make that the rim is not it's not bouncing around. This will help keep from having vibrations on your tires. On this slide, we have the following. We're looking at our the bolt holes where the studs come out of, and they're tightened up against the rim. We don't want to have any distortions there. Right? So what are we checking for when it comes to the rim and the bolt holes? My rim, inside and outside, securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, no illegal welds, and no distorted bolt holes. Next item we check on the list is how do we check the tire inflation, right? Where do we connect the air pressure gauge to? On this slide we have the following. We have the valve stem. What are we checking for when it comes to the valve stem? Remember, don't forget to check your air pressure with the air pressure gauge. Your valve stem, securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, no leaks. Cap is tight and present. The next item on the list is vital to your rim securement. There are two things keeping your rim from falling off. These two things we are checking for. On this slide, we have the following. Right, you have your lug nuts and your studs. What are we checking for when it comes to the lug nuts and studs? Lug nuts and studs securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, no missing hardware, no shiny treads, and no rust trails. The next item we check on the list is your suspension. There are 5 parts to the suspension, but for the most part, all these trucks that the schools use are non over the road trucks. So they're only going to have 4 of the 5 parts. Right? Things we are checking for on the next couple of slides, we're going to have the following. Right? You got your spring mounts, front and back. Spring mounts, front and back. You got your leaf springs. Right? You got your U-bolts. Your U-bolts, they hold the leaf springs in place. And we have our shock absorber. Right? The things we are checking for, the suspension system is crucial to vehicle control. What are we checking for when it comes to the suspension? Spring mounts front and back, my leaf springs, my U-bolts, and my shock absorber. They're all securely mounted. They're all not broken, not cracked. All the hardware is tight and secure, and none of it's missing. My leaf spring and my U-bolts are not shifted or missing. The shock absorber is not leaking. The next part that we're talking about could have been if the truck is equipped, it might be equipped on the front suspension. This part of your suspension is going to give you a smoother ride. On this slide, we have the following. We have the airbag if equipped. What are we checking for when it comes to the airbag? My airbags are securely mounted, no cuts, no tears, no leaks, no missing hardware. Next item we check on the list is part of the system that helps slow you down. These parts are connected to the brake chamber. In this slide, we have the following. We have our brake lines and hoses. What are we checking for when it comes to the brake lines and hoses? Brake line and hoses, securely mounted. No cuts, no tears, no leaks. My fittings are tight and present, and they supply air to my brake system. The next item we check on the list also helps you slow the vehicle down. There are 2 vital parts to help you stop. On this slide, we have the following. We have the brake drum, right? The next slide works in combination. The next item that we're going to check, or the next part, also helps to slow the vehicle down, but it works in combination with the brake drum. Right? This is what it looks like. On this slide, we have the following. We have our brake linings, pads or shoes, right? The brake linings, pads, or shoes, and brake drums work together to slow the vehicle. What are we checking for when it comes to the brake drum and linings? My brake drum and shoes are securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, no contamination of fluid, oil, or grease. Now we are moving to the outside of the vehicle. The next section on the list is the side of the vehicle. We're going to start by checking, right, the tractor and the trailer. These help you, these help make you more visible to others on the road. On this slide, we have the following, right? We have our lenses and reflectors. What are we checking for when it comes to the lenses and reflectors? All my lenses and reflectors on the side of the vehicle, both tractor and trailer, securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, proper color, not missing, clean and clear. The next item we check on the list helps you look around your vehicle and check your blind spots. On this slide, we have the following, traffic devices, right? My mirror and brackets. What are we checking for when it comes to the mirror and brackets? My mirror and brackets are securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, right? No missing hardware, and they're clean and clear. The next item we check on the list is where you store diesel and other and the other tank, if equipped, works together with the exhaust. On this slide, we have the following. Right over here, we have the fuel tank, right? And over here, we have the DEF tank. DEF tank, 100% of the time, has that little blue cap. And then the fuel tank is always going to be way bigger than the DEF tank. What are we checking for when it comes to the fuel and DEF tank? Right? The DEF starts for this. The DEF, the DEF, stands for diesel exhaust fluid. My fuel and DEF tank, they're both securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. No leaking from the hoses and tanks. My caps are tight and the chain is present. The next item we check according to the list. This is how you keep the lights going, right? It's where the truck stores electrical energy. On this slide, we have the following. We have the battery box. What are we checking for when it comes to the battery box? Remember, not all boxes are the same, so check to make sure you know how to open them. Here we got like what we would see when we take the cover off the battery box, right? Remember these cables, the cables are bridged, usually 3 to 4 batteries. We got the cables and connections, and the batteries have acid in them. What are we checking for when it comes to the battery box? All right, my cables and connections, I'm looking at them. I want to make sure they're present and tight. There's no corrosion, and my batteries are not leaking. That's it. Battery box is securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. It opens and closes. Cables and connections are present and tight. No corrosion, and the batteries are not leaking. Right, the next item we check on the list that helps keep the truck together, gives the truck the ability to hold lots of weight. On this slide, we have the following. We have the frames and cross members. They help distribute the weight. What are we checking for when it comes to the frame and cross members, right? Let's look at the, because it's frames slash tandem release. If you have tandems, those are the dual tires in the back, like the dual set of tires. Also on the back, where the slide, where these tandems can slide back and forth, we have the tandem release. The tandems can be slid simply by applying the trailer brakes, pulling on the release arm, checking that the pins are disengaged. Sliding tandem shifts the weight from truck to trailer. What are we checking for when it comes to the frames and tandem release? All right, there's a little bit more of the cross members. At the pull arm, you got the pins that come in and out. My frames and tandem release. Frames and cross members are securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. No missing hardware, no missing cross members. I have no holes in the floor of my trailer, and there's no broken welds. Now we are moving. We're going to move into the connection or the coupling area. Right. The next item that we check on the list is where the truck and trailer are connected to share like electrical and air supplies between the both. On this slide, let's go look. Got right here. You got the electrical cables that are connected with the glad hands, and then you have the air hoses on the trailer have glad hands. Air hoses on the tractor have fittings, and then you got the cable, the electrical plug and box, the cable and the plug on the trailer, cable and plug on the tractor. Right, you got the hoses and connections, glad hands on the trailer, fittings on the tractor, but there's an electrical plug, tractor and trailer. Right, and what are we checking for when it comes to the air and electrical lines? From truck to trailer. They're securely mounted. There's no cuts, no tears, no leaks. There's no illegal tape on my airlines. They're not tangled, and there's a proper clearance from the frame to the ground. Here we're going to the the fifth wheel. Right. The next item we check on the list is where the truck and trailer are connected. Where the truck connects to the trailer. This part is also right. This is the top. This right here is the frame. The top part goes connected to the bottom section, which goes connected to the frame. This picture here, when the fifth wheel engages, this thing is going to go in or out. On this slide, we have the following, right? The fifth wheel skid plate is the top of the fifth wheel assembly. It's connected to the frame by the platform, right? The platform, the fifth wheel kind of sits like on an A-frame, and it tilts back and forth. And then the platform is what the skid plate is connected. The fifth wheel skid plate is connected to the platform, and the platform is connected to the frame. What are we checking for when it comes to the fifth wheel and skid plate? My fifth wheel and skid plate securely mounted to platform, not broken, not cracked, no missing hardware, properly greased and not worn. Release arm and the safety latch in the lock position. The next item we check on the list is where the truck and trailer are locked together. This is one of the strongest points on a tractor trailer. On this slide, we have the following. My kingpin and my apron is where the truck and trailer connect. There should be no space in between both, making sure that you're checking for. What are we checking for when it comes to the kingpin and the apron? My kingpin and apron securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, properly greased, and not worn. There's no space between the apron and the skid plate. What's the next thing that we're checking for? The next item on the list is where we're checking where the truck and trailer connection is checked before moving. On this slide, we have the following. We have the locking jaw and the safety devices. What are we checking visually is what you do when you do your when we did the tug test, we're tugging on the truck to check to make sure this connection is locked in there. Right? Because for the test, you can't visually check underneath the truck. So we already checked on the in cab by doing a tug test. There was no play, right? There was no play on my fifth wheel connection. That means that the locking jaw is the locking jaw is fully engaged. Also, the release arm, which was like a few slides ago, the release arm, if it's in the lock position, that means that the locking jaw is wrapped around the kingpin, and you can see the kingpin from the picture of the kingpin. It has kind of like a shackle that goes around it. Right? Locking in safety devices. They're securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. The locking jaw is around the kingpin. I checked on the in cab when I did the tug test. Also, my release arm is in a lock position as well. The next item we check on the list is where the trailer's weight is supported. After the tractor disconnects or the trailer is dropped off, on this slide we have the following. Right, you got your landing gear in the up position, your landing gear in the bottom position. Here you got like the landing gear support frame. Landing gear and clearance, right? Landing gear of trailer consists of three parts. You got the support frame, you got the crank handle, and you got the foot pads. When you drop the trailer, don't just drive off. Make sure that the trailer legs can hold the weight. Along with that, make sure that nothing gets caught up when you're turning. What are we checking for when it comes to the landing gear and clearance? Right. This is another cutaway from the landing gear. Support frame crank handle. Foot pads and the clearance, right? So when you're turning left or right, nothing gets caught up. Landing gear and clearance. On my landing gear support frame, my crank handle, and my feet, they're all securely mounted. All not broken, not cracked. All have no missing hardware. The crank handle's in the lock position, and the feet are all the way up, right? And then the proper clearance between the landing gear and the tractor, so when you're turning, nothing gets caught, and then you're not damaging the mud flaps. Now we're already at the end of the inspection, right? These last two items on the list can be inspected together, right? Because you got one item that's down the side and on the back of the truck, and you got another part of the list that's also on the back of the truck. You're going to inspect down the side, the left side, and the rear of the vehicle. On this slide, we have the following. You got the DOT reflective tape down the side and the back. You can see it right here in the photos. You got your lenses and reflectors, right? What are we checking for when it comes to the lenses and reflectors, right? And also your DOT/reflective tape. My lenses and reflectors on the rear of the vehicle, they're securely mounted, not broken, not cracked. The proper levels, not missing. And my DOT reflective tape, the lights are also clean and clear. My DOT reflective tape is present and affixed to the trailer. Right? Once you are here, don't just say you are done. Double check the list. Make sure you did not forget anything. And then you're done. You're gonna ask the examiner, hey, how much time I got left, Mr. Examiner? And if he says, you got 25 minutes, I get the list and then I backtrack. I start from the back to the front. I do not want to give the examiner any points. I don't want to give up any points just because I'm in a hurry, right? It would really suck to give up points just because you were in a hurry. So at the end, you make sure you go back and you double check. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help you. It'll hurt you if you say, oh, I want to go really quick. You tell the examiner you're done, you're done. Otherwise, the examiner doesn't say anything. Remember, the examiner's just there watching to see what you're saying, making sure that you're hitting everything that's on that list, right? So please like and subscribe to the channel. Watch this video. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in. I know it was a long video. It had 126 slides, but this is going to really help out because I went into detail, like fill in the blanks. I just didn't just do the video. I also explained a little bit about the parts too. All right, please like and subscribe. Share this video, like this video. Bye bye.